If you've ever wondered why poop is brown and pee is yellow, then today is your lucky day. You are about to find out. And it has to do with your red blood cells. So, if you'll remember, a red blood cell has a lifespan of about 120 days. The reason for this limited lifespan is because of spectrin. Think back to earlier in the lecture. Spectrin is the protein that gives the red blood cells their flexibility. Remember how they have to squeeze to fit through capillaries, and spectrin is that flexible protein framework that allows them to do this. Well, after about 120 days, the spectrin breaks down. And they start to lose their shape. So you need to get them out of circulation. You don't want misshapen red blood cells flowing through your capillaries. So you have two organs that are responsible for this: the liver and the spleen. So as blood is flowing through the liver and the spleen, they are removing old red blood cells that are in danger of getting misshapen and clogging your capillaries. Then within these two organs, you have cells called macrophages. So here's your macrophage. Macrophage is a type of white blood cell. And these cells, you can see there's the red blood cell. They eat the red blood cells. So this is called phagocytosis. So they will actually engulf and break down the old red blood cells. And when they do, they break them down into three parts. So we have here the globin. So remember, that's the protein part. So from the macrophage here, when it's breaking it down into these three parts. So the first one is the globin. Remember, this is protein. Well, if you think back to chapter 2, protein is made of amino acids. So that globin is then broken down into its component amino acids. And amino acids are valuable to your body. So those amino acids just go into your blood and they are recycled. So just like you eat protein to get amino acids, you're also breaking this protein down. So here you can see, here are the amino acids from that globin, and they're being recycled. The next part that you get is the iron atom. So you extract the iron from the hemoglobin. Your body will also recycle the iron. So the iron is going to go to your liver, where it's going to be stored. And then when your bone marrow needs iron to make new red blood cells, it sends it to your red bone marrow. So most iron is recycled. So most is saved in the liver, then sent to the red bone marrow to be made into new hemoglobin. You do have a little bit of iron loss. That's why you do need some iron in your diet. So your iron losses are through sweat, There's a little bit in urine, and there's a little bit of iron lost in feces. Also, anytime you lose blood, if you get a cut, you're losing the iron that's in that blood, or like women need higher levels of iron in the diet because of the monthly menstrual cycle. There's a lot of iron loss with all that blood loss. So you do have some losses in sweat, urine, feces, and blood loss. Then the third part is the heme. So remember, that was another component of the hemoglobin. The heme has a long, interesting journey. So the heme is converted to bilirubin. You might be familiar with bilirubin if you've ever heard of jaundice. So jaundice is a disorder where you get too much bilirubin building up in your blood. So it's converted to bilirubin, which bilirubin is yellow. That's why jaundice makes you turn yellow. And this is put into your blood. So you have bilirubin flowing around in your blood. Well, as it's flowing around in your blood, your liver filters it out. So you're going to have here the bilirubin goes into your blood, and then it goes to your liver. That's why jaundice is a disorder of the liver. If your liver is not working, then it's not filtering that bilirubin out of your blood, and that's how you get jaundice. Okay, now that this bilirubin is in your liver puts it in the bile. Liver makes bile. You've probably heard of bile. It's made by your liver, it's stored by your gallbladder, it's sent to your intestine when you eat, and it helps your body digest fats. And you may have seen it like sometimes when you're really sick and you're throwing up a lot and it looks like you threw up some egg yolk. That's your bile. So now you have the heme converted to bilirubin is in your bile. Bile goes to your small intestine. So here we are in the bile, and it goes to your intestines. So your liver makes the bile, sends it to your gallbladder to store. When you eat, your gallbladder sends it to your intestine. So now the bile goes to your small intestine. Here it's going to be converted to urobilinogen. So now you have what used to be your heme, but is now urobilinogen in your small intestine with your food. Well, your small intestine absorbs food into your blood. And as it does, some of that urobilinogen is absorbed into your blood with your food. So some of it is going to be absorbed into the blood with your food. So now some of that goes back into your blood. Once it's in your blood, it's converted to another chemical called urobilin. So now you have urobilin flowing around in your blood. Remember, this started as the heme from a dead red blood cell. Now your kidney filters it out. So urobilin is filtered out by your kidney. And then it becomes part of your urine, and it is the yellow component of urine. So the color of urine being yellow, it's not about what you eat or what you drink, it's from your dead red blood cells. Okay, now remember I said that was part of the urobilinogen. Not all of it gets absorbed back into the blood with your food. Some of it passes with the waste into your large intestine. And if it does this, then it's converted to another molecule called stercobilin. It then stays in the large intestine with all the waste as it incorporated into the feces. And stercobilin is brown. So this is the brown part of feces. So then some of it leaves with the feces, and stercobilin, once you convert from urobilinogen to stercobilin, it goes from yellow to brown. So that is what happens to your old red blood cells. They live 120 days, then their spectrum starts to break down, they lose their shape, so your spleen and your liver pull them out of circulation. Macrophages in your spleen and liver break them down. You recycle the protein, you recycle the iron, the heme you turn into bilirubin, you put that in your blood, then your liver pulls it out, puts it in the bile, sends it to your intestine. It's converted to urobilinogen. Some of it comes back to your blood with your food, then your kidneys filter it out and it becomes the yellow component of urine. Some of it stays in your intestine with the waste and it's converted to stercobilin and becomes the brown component of feces.